It has eased up.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of days of sunshine now, but we are predicted to get 2 inches over the next few days. So
Oof.
we're probably all a bit nervous to see what that does, but it will also really hamper our recovery efforts as well if that weather does come in.
Yeah, I just read out the predicted weather for the nation and read out storms in southwest Queensland. I was like, no, no more. So did your homestead and major work sheds stay above water, and that was kind of about the only things on your property without water through them?
Yeah, we had about 300 mil clear of water coming into our house and our main kitchen building, but the staff quarters have been flooded and we've had water through the workshop. Luckily, we did have a bit of time to prepare and we got, people's cars up on the back of truck trailers and we've lifted tools up, but there's just so much water. I
Yeah.
mean, where the Thompson and Barcoo rivers meet to form the Cooper, it's over 50 kilometres wide there. So, the livestock loss in that area is going to be huge because nothing can swim that far. And,
Yeah.
and there was no sandhills for a few days visible. It was just so much water.
And so how far does the water stretch out around you now? Is it at kind of about 25 k's each side of you? Or give us an idea of that. And what creek or rivers are near you?
Yeah, so where we are here at Retreat, we've got the Barcoo River about a kilometre from us. Um, when it sort of peaked, it was probably, yeah, 20, 30K wide here at Retreat. The water's receded a bit, so at a guess, it might be back to 15, 20Ks wide. But yeah, like I said, further downstream where the Cooper Creek is,
Yeah.
it's over 50 kilometres wide there. So
Yeah.
it's just devastating. There's just so much water.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the images of that evacuation from Adavale, which is kind of a little community near you. But yeah, can you believe that the water got that high in Adavale and they had to evacuate everyone?
Oh, it's just crazy. Like we were really looking forward to this rain because we all desperately needed it, but it just was so much in a short amount of time. And what I hope people realize is that this flood has smashed the previous flood record of 1990 and the 1974 floods. It's just so much bigger than either of those floods. So whilst we all did our best to prepare, no one could have predicted this. There's just no possible way we could have prepared any more for this than what we did. And yeah, we've just got to deal with it now.
Yeah. And Andrea, how much stock do you run on your property?
We've got a number of properties along the Barcoo River here, so we normally run about 20,000 head of cattle in this part of the world.
Yeah. And how many are you concerned that you might have lost? Do you have any rough idea?
Our place back towards Yarrika, that's probably where we're seeing the most deaths so far. I think we've lost 100 cows in one paddock and we're still counting. Downstream back towards the Cooper, we had 600 head in one paddock. We can probably count about 250 on sandhills, but hopefully the rest have just washed downstream and will make land somewhere. But it's really too hard to say at this stage. There's just so much country still completely underwater. And, we're doing the best we can, but we've got such limited resources here. We're just so lucky that we deal with helicopters every second day of the week in our business, and we've got family with machines that have been able to come and help us. And in turn, we've diverted those machines to help our neighbours and the local community. But we're just really under-resourced here, which, we realise it's such a large area of Queensland that's been affected. So resources are really thin on the ground. But yeah, we're just doing what we can with what we can. But I think it's going to be weeks before we really know the full extent of what we're up against.
And Andrea, just go into a bit more detail for us for people who are totally kind of unfamiliar with the properties and the land out there. When you're saying you're doing what you can, what do you feel kind of what are you really busy with at the moment?
Yeah, so now that the first couple of days, once the weather when it stopped raining and we could actually get machines in the air, the priority was evacuating people to safety. Junda, our local community, was completely inundated, never ever seen water near where it reached. So we helped out the local council and the police with a lot of evacuation work and just getting people to safety. And once that was done, our next priority was the livestock. So just trying to push cattle onto islands, swim them across channels, just get them onto some sort of ground. But you got to remember, some of these cattle are still standing in water because it's kilometers until the nearest tree, let alone land. So we've been trying to feed as many cattle as we can. We're lucky most of us had plenty of hay in the shed because it was so dry up until this event. So we've been able to pull a lot of hay out of local sheds and sling it in with helicopters for many people up and down the river. So just feeding stock is the priority at the moment. But again, we're all really nervous that if it rains, that's going to pull up our efforts and just, really throw a spanner in the works, really.
Yeah, and when you say feeding stock, that's thousands and thousands of stock.
Yeah, it is. And this is the hard thing. We would obviously do everything possible to save our livestock. I mean, we love them. That's why we do this. But, at the moment, we're probably forking out $80,000 a day in machines, helicopters and avgas just to get around and cover the country. So there's no doubts we'd continue doing it, but it is a real financial impact on a lot of people, and there's just so much country to cover. You're talking kilometers and hundreds of head. It's a huge job for our pilots. They are just working tirelessly to help us. They've dropped everything in their own lives to come and help us, and we would be completely stuffed without our helicopter pilots. So big thanks to them, absolutely.
And one thing that you described that you were doing before was swimming cattle to safety. How do you actually do that in a situation like this?
Yeah, so it's up to the helicopters again. They've just got to try and push cattle through the water. But, some of these cattle haven't eaten for over a week now. They've been standing in water. They've been cold. Like they're very weak. It's been a big job. We had one paddock where we could sort of try and push cattle from little island to little island and get them somewhere big that we could actually drop a hay bale on to feed them. But we would have to swim them and then maybe let them rest for an hour. And there's just so much water, and these livestock have gone through so much. Lucky they're tough, but this is a big ask for anything. Yeah. It's been huge. I mean, we're used to floods, don't get me wrong, but this is just next level. We've just never, ever seen anything like this before, and probably won't ever again. It's just been insane.
And has your family lived there for generations?
No, we've got properties in central Queensland and up on the Territory border. So we've been in this district for about 6 years, but ironically, my husband and I were at Tobermory Station in 2019 when we got completely wiped out by the floods, and it was 6 years to the day. So I think we're probably very unlucky, really. But, I guess looking for a positive, our previous flood experience has helped us to prepare this time round. And we're grateful, I guess, if anything, that we've been able to share a bit of our knowledge and help our neighbours out. It's a great part of the world that we're now living in. And I know we're the new kids on the block, but it's nice that we've been able to help out our neighbours and community.
And we heard in Ada Vale there are about 30 people evacuated from there, but you were just speaking about evacuating people from Junda as well. What can you tell us about the effort to get people out of Junda, and how dangerous was that for some people in terms of the amount of water that was going through homes?
Yeah, well, I guess it was pretty unexpected for Junda. Like I said, it's just completely gone above and beyond previous flood records. So there was about 72 people in Junda. I think about half got evacuated, but the biggest issue was communications went down. So there was no phones, very limited internet. A few people had Starlink units. So, local resources were pretty thin. It was all sort of happening pretty quick. So we diverted some of our helicopters straight to Junda to start assisting with evacuations, and that was flying people to Windora, the next town, and then a fixed wing plane. We're taking them on to Longreach. But yeah, it's just been a big group effort by the community. And now we've just got to try and save as many livestock as possible. So hopefully people can get on with their business and lives, and, you know, hope they stay in the area. I hope this event doesn't force too many people to sell up or go bankrupt or anything like that. Hopefully they can stay and we can enjoy some green grass and 6 months later, hopefully.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you're facing huge logistical and financial challenges at the moment to keep feeding your stock. Is there anything that governments or authorities could do to help you through this process?
Yeah, the biggest issue for us at the moment, like where we are at Retreat, we've got 4 local towns within 300 kilometres, but every single road is cut off and potentially it could be for a month or more. So our only way to get supplies is by the helicopters. And the biggest hurdle we've got is the avgas supply. And we're starting to see a little bit of it come through now, but the amount that we're burning up each day in feeding livestock, you know, we're just having a lot of trouble keeping up. So avgas is the number one priority, I would say. But second to that, it will definitely be getting roads open, because despite the devastation, we really still need to all operate our business as normal as we can to keep things going. And we need to do that so that the community can do it. I mean, if we're not mustering our livestock and trucking them, then the trucks don't have a job. And if the truck drivers and truck businesses in these local communities aren't working, then they're not going to spend as much in their own little local stores. So there's a real huge flow-on effect, I feel, in these communities, and for the economy. So I think number one is avgas, and number two is getting our roads just functioning. I mean, we're not expecting brand new bitumen everywhere. We're used to dirt roads, but we've just got to have them serviceable so we can get trucks in and out and try and get these communities operating as best as we can.